world right now.
Yeah, I always joke it's interesting working for a technology company and then we have technology issues. It's always the irony of it.
It is indeed.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, it's part of the job, right?
yeah.
Let's see if
Can you
it's
check now if
working.
everything is good? Do you know if people in YouTube can actually watch live?
Yes, that's what I'm trying to do here
Okay,
because
yeah, it would be
it
great.
it says that it's streaming to YouTube, but I can't
Okay.
see it on YouTube. Really, like
Oh,
I have the
okay.
page open here, and it's not
Nothing
working
is
for
happening.
some reason.
Okay.
We actually have CG. No, it, okay. It's working.
Okay.
I can see us now, right?
Good.
Okay, this is okay. Let me first. So I'm going to do a little disclaimer here
Yeah.
because we were having some technical issues with the broadcast here. Now we are live on YouTube, but we were having problems, so we're going to start over. If you guys are okay with that.
It's fine.
That's absolutely fine.
Sorry, I'm so sorry about that. But okay, let's start with another introduction. Um Welcome everybody to the CG Architect podcast. We have a very special episode. Now we are streaming live on YouTube because we were not before. We just spent the last 10 minutes speaking and having this very deep conversation about the future of AI and ArchViz and all, and you guys will never know about it.
Top secret. We're not
Yeah,
sharing.
and it was like the deepest conversation you can ever imagine about the subject. Like you haven't seen any like insights like the ones we're sharing here, like anywhere else, but you never know. Now you will never know. Well, let's start by doing the introductions again. I'm Ricardo Eloy. I'm the CG Architect editor, and joining me today we have Nikos Nikolopoulos
Correct.
from Creative Lighting, and Bill Allen, one of the creators of Viras and many other tools at Evolve Labs. And we're here to discuss, you guessed, the future of AI in ArchViz, because you're in CG Architect, so that's probably what you want to hear about. Anyway, so brief introductions. Let's start with Bill. Bill,
Yeah, thanks, Ricardo. So, thanks everybody. So, Bill Allen background is in architecture. So, I started working for about a decade doing healthcare design in Omaha, Nebraska. Moved out to Colorado. Worked at a few different architecture firms as a BIM manager. Gravitated towards kind of that design technology side. Saw a gap in the industry, so I started Evolve Lab in 2015 as a design technology consulting company, helping architects, engineers, contractors implement design technology. And then we started building out tools that I would have wanted when I was working in architecture. So we built out Helix, which is an interoperability tool, converts SketchUp to Revit, AutoCAD to Revit. Glyph automates construction drawings. We have a co-authoring generative design tool, which is Morphus. And then most recently, Veris, which is an AI rendering and visualization tool. And then we got introduced to the Chaos leadership team and joined the Chaos family in February of this year. So that's a brief intro to me.
yeah, you're the new kids on the block at Chaos,
We are.
right?
We are.
So welcome. If I think I never said that to you, but welcome to Chaos.
Appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Yeah, like 6 months later.
Yeah, no worries.
And Nikos, brief
Well,
introduction.
let me say,
People know
let me,
you already. I'm like,
if they don't know me, I'm doing something wrong. Let me say, Bill, it's a pleasure to meet you. Finally, I'll be using Veras, by the way, but we'll talk about this later. So it's a pleasure to meet you, even if it's online. Ricardo, congratulations on the show. CG Active Podcast is something I was waiting for a while because your community is big and it's growing and we're going to support it. Now, I'm the founder of Creative Lighting. We do training online, on site, training teams, AI consulting, workshops, master classes. I had the pleasure in the last 10 years to work with the biggest architects like Zaha Hadid. Actually, last month I worked with Zaha Hadid. It was a great collaboration. Foster and Partners, Perkins and Will. Studios like Kilograph in LA, Pure Blink in Canada, all these amazing firms and studios that I had the pleasure to share my knowledge and talk about visualization. And lately, you're going to also find me talking about plus AI. So it's a hot topic we're going to discuss today. I also believe in communities. I started 3D New York as a co-founder. You've been there, Ricardo. You're gonna tell us more about that maybe later about your experience. I'm also starting as a co-founder 3D Athens. I'm hosting my own show, the Chaos Campus Live Show in partnership with Chaos. It's been happening 3 years in a row, very successfully. Yeah, we have also master classes with Chaos with 4,000 plus attendees, one of the biggest in the world, I hope. But yeah, the community is growing, and I'm such an honor to be here. And congrats on your new journey. Again, I'm going to be here supporting as much as you can because I believe in communities, and my whole life is about helping others to become better artists, and at the same time, building communities like the Chaos that Chaos introducing us for all these years with all these initiatives that you guys doing.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Now, we were having already a conversation before we realized that we were having technical issues with the streaming part of the show. Like, it was a live stream, and then we had a problem with the streaming part. We were live, but not streaming. Everything should be working right now. So, I wanted to ask you guys something that uh, Bill mentioned that Evolve Lab does a bunch of tools, AI tools, like uh, we work with BIM, Revit, and AutoCAD, and SketchUp, and also Vira's, which is a renderer. Can we call Vira's a renderer?
Yeah, it's a rendering tool, AI rendering tool.
Awesome, because it's a brand new category, right? We were so concerned with GPU rendering and CPU rendering, and now we have AI rendering. So it's like brand new.
Yeah.
And we were. I actually asked you, and I would like you to share your insights on that. If AI is, people are so concerned that AI is going to, take our jobs away and make us all like homeless people in 5, 6 years to come. What's your take on that?
Yeah. So, yeah, as I was mentioning, there's kind of this utopian idea that people have for AI, and then other people see it kind of more a dire outlook. It's coming for our jobs. And so there's this quote from an economist that I like to use, which is, "It's not AI that's going to take your job, but someone using AI might." And so the point is that it's a tool, just like anything else is a tool. And there's a reason that they call it co-pilot, is because you're still the pilot, you're in the driver's seat. And I would say the thing is with a lot of these tools, if you remember with the adoption of Revit, and you could drop in like this elevation marker, and it automatically elevated your bathroom and kitchens. No one was going, wait a second, Revit's taking my job. Like, I wanted to manually, draw those elevations. It was a tool. You're still dropping in the elevation marker. It's helping you do your job more efficiently. And it is that. It's a tool that just, as I like to say, gives you superpowers and helps you be more efficient.
Yeah. And when you said that, like, oh no, I love like drawing elevation and stuff. I was like, yeah, yeah, sure. Said no one ever.
Right.
But
Yeah.
this leads to a very interesting or intriguing questioning. Is that, do you think that s- some of this noise surrounding AI tools, like for example AI renderers, is because people actually like doing rendering? They actually like creating images, and now that we see tools that can, I won't go as far as saying that these tools do everything automatically or on their own without any input, because that's not true. But do you think that's a reason for people to be so upset with this new technology?
I think so. I really want to hear Nuka's opinion on this, but I'll comment just really quickly. Like my background in architecture, like I was the guy doing the renderings, the visualization. I was doing the modeling and bringing it into Inkscape and 3ds Max. And I don't know if people are still networking, computers together to do their rendering. But if you guys remember doing the networking all the machines, and then you'd render overnight, you come in the morning and hold your breath and hope that it worked. And so there's all these like crazy experiences we used to have to do. And as I started to use the tools, I surprisingly enjoyed them a lot. So using tools like Midjourney and Veris, and doing the prompting, and then you get this result back almost instantly. You're like, oh my gosh, that is so freaking cool. And then you're like, let me just change the prompt a little bit and do this and change this slider, and then you get a result back. I would say it doesn't diminish, the creative experience for me personally. Like, I love using these AI tools. I feel like I'm still in that driver's seat, but I'd love to hear Nico's, opinion on it.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I totally agree with Bill. Like, it's the artist plus AI. But just to give a bit of background of my AI knowledge and when I started implementing tools, it was 2022 when Pedro Fernandez from Mark and I invited me early. It was, I think, July or something, 2022. And he said, Nikos, hey, check this tool. It's called Midjourney. It's going to be amazing thing. I think it's going to work for you. And I started testing it and I fell in love with it because I can start getting my ideas into an engine and then start seeing visually my idea as an early development and concept before I start the production. So basically, I can have my own references in high quality, which means it's going to drive the production in a more efficient and faster way. So for me, what I'm looking with AI is to remove the technical limitations, which is very important for me, so I can go back and focus on creativity and storytelling. Then I started using ChatGPT. Later on, I found a way to upscale it with Magnific and use enhancement tools. And then you have the Photoshop AI and Runway to create videos out of your visuals and your stories and celebrate the design with an image and with a video, plus using composition, lighting, and color theory. So all this exciting new AI era, it makes me positive, it makes me more creative, and I think that has helped me, again, to focus more on my storytelling. So if people think that we're going to start producing, I think it's wrong. Because we don't want to start producing. What we want is to make things easier for us. So as a storyteller, I want to create. Otherwise, why am I in this business? So yes, it's here to help us if you use it wisely, and most important, understand that you are driving. Copilot, yes, it's a collaborator. It's a tool that needs artistic vision, design knowledge, and storytelling skills. So keep focusing on those three areas and keep evolving with these three areas. So it's a challenge because now everybody has access. Amazing. What the next thing to do? Build on your knowledge. Get better on these things, on your artistic vision, or your design knowledge, or as an architect or designer, or on your storytelling skills. So there's nothing here to replace us. It's here to help us to move faster. Our production is going to be easier than ever, and everybody's going to be happier. But again, it depends how you see it and how you use those tools. That's why I said the word wisely.
Yeah,
Yes, and that's a key word for, like, I would say everything, really,
Yeah,
because being wise is much more important than being clever, I would
yeah.
say. Because
definitely.
cleverness is nothing if you don't know what to do with all your knowledge, right? Now, uh, again, you mentioned a very interesting point there. Uh, you're in the driver's seat. You're still an artist, and there's another tool here. I just need to learn how to use it and use it to be a better artist, right? Uh, I think that the thing is maybe people are seeing such a low entry barrier to everything, and the tools are being marketed. Let's be honest, as they do it all. Like, you don't need to be an artist to create art, really. Like that's how they market everything.
Hmm.
And still, I don't see everyone becoming the next Steven Spielberg just because of VO3,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
Like and
There's
I
always a story behind every script.
yeah, yeah, and again, I really believe that people don't actually they kind of underestimate the amount of work, the amount of labor, the amount of knowledge that goes into creating whatever we're talking about, like a design or an image or an animation, and they think that the tool is the main thing here. The main role is the tool's role, and that's why people are like, okay, we're over, we're done, because now the tool does everything. And I think that people that think like that are the exact people that don't actually master the craft yet. Now,
Yeah.
a question regarding the various tools and stuff. Nikos, you mentioned that you used Magnific or Magnific.
Yes.
I never know how to pronounce that. Magnific.
Magnifique is magnifique. Nobody will know how to pronounce it, but it is magnifique.
Magnific. Okay.
Magnifique.
So, you mentioned that you use it. Do you think that tools like Magnifique or Korea or whatever are better for production or better for the artist than using the all those nodes from Stable Diffusion and stuff like that, having to learn all those tools?
The thing is, I'm not a technical artist, so I try Stable Diffusion, and when I spend time to understand how to install it, I realized, Nikos, this is not a tool for you. You know, I was just being honest. If I cannot figure out how to install it, then I'm just not going to use it. So yes, Crea came out, Magnifique came out, and I'm like, okay, that's easier. I have to master 5 sliders, which is easy. I can bring my render until I'm happy with it. So I play with all different settings, up and down. I find my presets, I put them down. I try Crea. I was like, okay, it's a better solution economically, but it's not better in quality. So I'm going to go back to Magnifique. So when there is a new tool out, I'm going to test it, but I'm going to make a decision and then decide which one to go to because there's so many solutions. So don't get confused. There's so many things out there, but find the one that can do what you want and stick to it. So when it comes to upscaling enhancement, I decided to go with Magnific. And also this is part of my courses. When I do courses, I experiment so many, but I'm going to give one solution when I believe it's going to be the best for the client, whatever it is. So yeah, upscaling enhancement. Oh my God, yes. I was talking before with the technical issues that finally we don't have to use Photoshop to add people and make them look realistic. So I used to spend days. I know how to do it, yes, of course, but it's painful. You have to capture the person, add the shadows in Photoshop, color grade, color corrections, and mask the person. Yes, it takes time, but nobody wants to do it anymore. So now you have the enhancement with AI. You bring your 3D people. You can decide the colors thanks to Chaos Cosmos Library because you can have different color options per clothes, which is amazing. And the anima. So you can actually create your story. Think about where to add the person and for and why. That's also important. And then you click a button in 30 seconds. You have it look realistic. I'm like, oh my god, yes. Finally, I spend more time on the story. Like Fernando Guerra is a master that I follow, a photographer that he's using one people for every image. And he's spending time to realize where I'm going to position that person and what he's going to wear. I want to spend time on that, but the rest, oh my God, no. Thank God these days we don't have to spend days, a day or two to bring people in the scenes and make them look realistic because we cannot just do it with AI.
Yeah.
And that ties very well with what Bill said. It's like it gives you a superpower. Like I don't want to spend like 10 hours in Photoshop trying to refine some grass field that the client in the end would not even give a damn about,
Yeah.
right? Now,
We've been
we're
there, we've
talking,
done that,
yeah, we've all done
all of
that.
us.
And I remember when Magnifique came out, and then we were all of a sudden able to take those, nice, and I'm air quoting here, nice 3D people that we all have access to,
Yeah.
and then they became realistic. Like that was something that it because it was a real problem. It was a real world problem, and before AI, I wouldn't have spent like 2 minutes trying to make people better because I had deadlines. I
Yeah.
didn't want to spend my time making them look better because they were not that important. But man, they're important. Now,
They are
this
important.
is like the final product for ArchViz, right? We're talking about final images and stuff. But Vera's, on the other hand, sits on the opposite side of the workflow. Isn't that correct, Bill?
Yeah, you can use it for either or. You can use it for ideation, or you can use it for final renderings if you want. So there's two different modes, and the geometry override is what we have. So if you have a low geometry override, it'll retain the geometry in your model. If you do a high geometry override, the AI has more creative freedom to change it. So that would be kind of more in the ideation phase. And for what we try to do, to comment just quickly on Nico's comment about like he was trying to use stable diffusion and the sliders and connect all of that. If you want to do that, great. Like someone can do that. The analogy I use is like working on your car, right? Like I'm a horrible mechanic. I don't know how to work on my car. I don't even change the oil in my car. I take it to an expert to do that. But I know how to drive my car, and I can take it to the grocery store. So that was what we did with Varus. Was like, okay, we allow architects just to drive the AI. They don't have to know how to hook it up and optimize and all those things. It will just be able to drive. And we put in different presets in there so that way you can kind of get to that aha moment where you can choose different visual styles and all of that. But then if you want, you can go deeper by doing what they call like prompt engineering, and you can put in different prompts and do different camera styles and animation styles and all of those kinds of things. So that was what we tried to do with it. And then the other thing we tried to do was bring it into the architect's environment. So rather than we do have the web-based version, just like Magnifica, but then what we did is we brought it into Revit, we brought it into SketchUp, brought it into Rhino, all of the design authoring tools. So that way you don't have to leave your design environment to actually use it. So trying to minimize the friction for an architect to be able to use those tools. But to answer your question concisely, you can use it for both ideation as well as kind of finish post production.
And personally, I think the ideation phase is the most interesting use for AI at this point, because it's where it actually feels like a superpower. Because as an architect, I would spend like a lot of time, figuring out the best solution, the best look, and everything, and having a tool that goes like, okay, here's like three options, like what you wanted them to be. Like, what do you think? Do you want to use this one? Would you like to mix and match? And you know, it feels like a much more creative workflow
It
in a way.
is. Yeah, it is. And with these tools, like you do have purely text to image tools where, it would just be anything that you prompt. But with Verse, what we try to do is the problem with some of those other just purely text to images is it doesn't take into account like your floor to floor heights, your city background, the context. Um, and so, in summary, like it's not your actual project, it's just like a picture of a building. Versus if you're using something like Varus, for example, or Stable Diffusion, where it uses your substrate, as the starting point, it's your actual project. And then, Ricardo, to your point, for the ideation, you can use that geometry override, crank it up if you wanted to change it more, but it's still kind of using the underlying, bones or structure of the project.
And that's the main issue people have with AI tools for image creation, right? Like not having enough control to make sure it's your project that is there. And for example, Nikos, you've been using, as far as I understand, AI tools as a way to add that extra juice to your renderings, right?
Yeah,
Like,
I mean, as a creator, I have so many ideas in the beginning of the project. So I'm using for early concept development and mood draft to understand if my idea is going to work. So for example, I test Veras, and it's been 2 months now, and I had the project. It was a beautiful, like a design, and I used Max and V-Ray to create a clay render. So one material, basic sun and sky, and then I used Veras and with prompting to understand if I want to go in a more moody, rainy or early sunlight, or if I want to go to a blue hour and cold and warm feelings, or a sunlight, a golden hour, or a night shot. So by adding these prompts and testing very quick your ideas, then without changing geometry and by saying 100% material apply, then you can actually see the landscape and the background and the sky, and then you can decide, oh, actually, I like this moody atmospheric environment and the clouds. So if you have an idea and you can see it, then you just go to Video or Corona, whatever software you're using, and you can just say, oh, you know what? I'm going to use an HDRI cloudy because based on the mood that I explored in 5, 10 minutes, you can get 10 moods, right? Then that's the mood I want. And this is going to drive the production. So when you have something that you're looking for, you're going to make it better and faster. So that's my interaction with AI from the beginning. I want to test my mood. I have a clay. I don't have to care about anything else, just to understand about my environment, conditions, lighting conditions, and then I have my composition ready as from the beginning. But the rest I want to explore.
so it's like having a very fast and skilled uh, art assistant that's doing the
Yeah,
hard labor, so you can focus on other things. Like, okay, so try a more, I don't know, like a sunset scene. No, I
yeah.
don't like it. No, let's do it some overcast thing. And okay, that's more like it. And it's a way that you're taking that labor from your hands and leaving it to the computer.
That's exactly what I'm doing. And to give you another feedback, so basically, when I'm explaining, I call it the golden hour. Before I even see it, I press enter and start prompting my next mood to blue hour. And then I have my sunrise shot, and then I have my rainy moody shot. And I do it so fast. And when I'm finishing the prompting, I have the moods already on my screen available to see. And then I will decide which one to continue exploring until I make it, let's say, final mood draft to start the production. So it can be so fast. I don't want to see the result and wait. I'm writing, I have so many ideas, next idea, and then I'm like, oh, I have 10 moods already. waiting for me to explore and refine and then start producing.
And always having in mind that your product is not the product of the AI tool or whatever tool you're using. It's the final image that tells a story that, in my presentation at 3D New York, I said that clients want us to captivate, communicate, and then convert, like the three C's.
Yes.
So it's like in order to do that, you're using various tools. Like they happen to be AI, but they could be like ray tracing or GPUs or whatever,
Or anything.
whatever fits what you need. Now, a big question that I have, that's a personal question actually, is about the struggles that we have as users with AI tools, like the lack of control or that frustrating bit that when you say like, okay, let's change this just a bit, and then it comes up with a totally different image because that happened. We've all been there, right?
Yeah.
And what are the struggles of creating an actual AI tool that connects with their users and delivers what users need, Bill?
Yeah, I would say there's kind of these gradation of AI, right? So it's a new tool, a new technology, and to your point, it's pretty cool, but there are some frustrations where sometimes it doesn't get all the way over the finish line for us. So, as example, like I like to say, a lot of times these AI tools will pass the squint test. Like it'll look like this beautiful visualization, this rendering, and then but when you start inspecting it, there's all these weird artifacts. You know, the common one people talk about is like the hands of some of the people. You know, they have seven fingers on one hand, and then it's this weird thing. So you don't notice it at first, but then if you look at the image long enough, you'll start seeing these weird hallucinations and things that just don't quite look right. And I would say every version, every engine that we start to have, it iterates and gets better and better. So the one that we had before was a huge challenge. I'm seeing a lack of consistency, different angles. That's another one that is another challenge as well with a lot of these AI tools. One of the things that we're trying to do with Varus is we've created to comment on the lack of consistency on different angles is we just launched a 3D viewer inside of there, and it's setting the groundwork to have what we call view persistency. So if you have different views from different angles, it can help with that. The other thing we implemented was a render from same seed. So like if you have one angle and then you lock your seed, you go to the other angle, you lock your seed. It's not perfect, but it helps create more consistency from that. But those are kind of the two things that we're trying to do to try to create that view persistency, and then also working on different render engines to get them to be better quality, so you don't have so many weird artifacts in some of the renderings.
And what's the difference between image generation as a whole, based on a geometry, like what Virus does, and image enhancement, like what Magnifique does? I mean,
Yeah.
technically speaking, what's the difference between that?
I mean, it's like what you said is one is enhancing an image. It might take, like the Chaos and AI enhancer, for example, will take these Chaos assets, the people that look a little more digital, and then you use an enhancer, and then they look realistic. And so I think it is just that it's changing it enough. It's not completely overhauling the image, but it's changing it slightly to make it better, than it would be by itself.
And technically speaking, is there a difference in approach? For example, when you want to create everything based on geometry, like what you guys do with Vera's, is it different from creating something like enhancing the grass or the people or some specific points, or it's like the same thing just done in a different way?
I think the answer it's more targeted. It's isolated, right? So rather than the whole image getting an overhaul, you're enhancing this facade, or you're enhancing this person, or you're enhancing this tree, like an asset in there. So those are some things that are different from an enhance versus just like, okay, overhaul the whole image. The other thing that we also had is we have a render selection, we call it, or end painting is common in the AI world, where you can select just parts of an image. So rather, the challenge was is like an end user might have an image and they're like, oh, I like this whole image, but I want to change, the fireplace. And so they could go through and select just the fireplace and change that one thing, which is not, directly related to your question of enhancing versus rendering. But the point being is like having, different AI tools in your tool belt that help you for a targeted workflow that you're trying to do or trying to accomplish.
Interesting. Now, Nikos, on your
Yeah.
side, what's the biggest struggle you have with AI as it is right now?
I mean, definitely, I have also the limitations. Like, yeah, if I'm trying to upscale and enhance a 3D person, and there is 7 hands, 7 fingers or something, I'm gonna switch to manual mode. I'm gonna use my masking. I'm gonna try to get the best out of the AI, and then spend some time, maybe half an hour, to refine. But imagine, I said before, integrating people takes more than half an hour. So I'm gonna take whatever works, even if it's a tree or grass, and then mix between my render, the enhancement, and find a great balance between. Most of the time, I don't have to do it. I'm surprisingly overwhelmed with the quality. But as an artist, I'm always reviewing everything and make sure that design is not changed from the client. I'm waiting to see improvements, not things going crazy. And also, if I don't have control, I'm not going to use it at all. So if I feel like AI is taking control and it's changing a lot of my work, I will go back and rethink it, like, is the right tool to use. If not, I'm just going to continue my old school techniques. So don't forget your knowledge from the past. Okay, we're just discussing about implementing new tools into the workflow. I know how to make an image without any AI tool. So if something goes wrong on the way, I will pause, rethink, and then start creating again. There is balance between what is possible and where you want to go.
And that leads me to this comment from Amit. And I understand it's not actually related to what we just said because it's an earlier comment, but it said, let me put this again on the screen. Like, also sometimes putting in too much non-essential things. And I would like to take that comment and kind of, link it to what you just said because sometimes people are so concerned about the tools they're using and what those tools are capable of, or whatever they think the tools are capable of, that they end up trying to put as much as they can. They cram as much as they can in one image, in one design, and just because they have this tool that does it, like, okay, it can enhance people, it can enhance cars, it can whatever, and they keep doing it, and it sounds a little aimless in a way. Like we're just trying to figure out what to do with this tool instead of choosing a tool that does what I need to be done. Does that make sense for you
Yes,
guys?
Yeah.
it
Yeah,
does.
I think it's right tool for the right job. Like Nikos was saying, like he might use one tool for one part and then he migrates over to the next phase of his process and uses another tool. So I think it's also using the right tool for the right job.
Yes, and that's why experimenting with all these tools and then thinking about how can I use them on my benefit, it's a very important. Sometimes take a breathe. If something goes wrong, just take a moment and realize, is this the right approach before you move on forward?
And nowadays it's getting harder and harder to pick up the right tool, right? I was yesterday. I was on my phone browsing, and like I saw a lot of advertisements for AI tools, like those apps that you use on a phone, and I got curious, started looking at them, and they all look the same. Like literally from the interface to the features, they all look the same. And I'm not sure if they actually do what they claim to do because they are all so similar that I start having a very hard time deciding which one to download because they're all the same. Now, uh, how can you differentiate a tool that's for you, Bill, from the rest in a world where we have like new tools every day? We have like 100 new tools every day doing the exact same thing.
Yeah. I mean, so there's this concept in the architecture world with tool fatigue. Like there's so many different tools that you have to try to investigate and look at. And there's a lot going on right now in the generative AI space, a lot of overlap with tools like Varus and Magnifica, and you get all these different ones that kind of have similar feature sets. And so I think there's a lot in that space. So what we're trying to do is also bridge into other spaces, leveraging AI. So for example, we're using Glyph Copilot that automates construction documents. So that is much different than a visualization tool that does rendering. And so I think there's going to be different applications. You might use ChatGPT for copyright. You might use a different tool for rendering, and then you might use something like Glyph Copilot, to automate construction documents. And so that's what we're trying to do, is trying to tap into other spaces that help automate and add value to other parts of the project lifecycle, not just visualization and rendering. Though those are powerful tools as well.
Awesome. And now, Nikos, I think this is a question suited for you.
Yeah, I would like to get to actually. Thank you, Amit. I think that's an interesting question because you have so many tools out there. For me, it's not that hard. After reviewing and deciding the tool that I'm going to work with, I'm not going to have influence by other tools that do the same thing because I want to go deeper and talk to these companies, send them emails with feature requests, reply to surveys. Like, for example, I'm using Midjourney, right? Every time they ask for feedback, I'm there. Every time they ask for ranking and saying what's the next thing that you want to see, I'm responding. What I'm saying is that when you find your tools and you get involved by going to community events, responding to emails and surveys, you don't want to go around and looking for other tools that do the same thing because you're going to get confused. For example, I'm using Runway. I love Runway. And now everybody's talking about VO3. I'm not going to use it because I spend my money on Runway. I have a yearly subscription. I talk to them. They're listening. They're responding. They're active. And I'm going to wait for them to bring whatever version they're going to bring next. So yes, I know the Sora is out. I have access. I know that you have this Kling. What is that, Kling or something?
Cling, yeah.
And now they're fighting between Kling and VO3. I'm like, do what you guys want, but I have my solution solved because I'm using Runway. And that's it. So when I make my decision, after reviewing, of course, I'm going to stick to my decision and be active to the communities of the software, of the tool, by responding again to all this stuff that I'm doing with Runway. We're even discussing of doing an AI meetup together at some point. But that's, you get the idea? Try to be as active as you can. So if you're going to use Veras, text Bill. I'm not joking. Go active in the communities. Find out if they do any events and go to speak to them live. See if they're doing any surveys and ask for feedback and send your ideas. That way, you're growing with the same tool that you like and you don't have to have so much confusion because otherwise you can get lost. If I'm going to go out testing new solution for video every day, I might lose. Actually, I might lose the point here. The point is to make my life easier by finding the right tools to work with. When I found it, I'm going to stick to it and not just go around looking for something that's 5% better. So when I decided to use Magnifico for enhancement and upscaling, ticked. I don't want anything else. When I decided to use Runway for video animation, ticked. I don't want anything else.
That's a very interesting and very wise thing to do, I'd say. Because I see people like they're trying to join this technological race in a way, like
Yeah.
if they were the developers, so they're racing to see who uses the best tool out there and everything, but
I know.
they don't know how to use like 10% of what the tool offers, and they keep jumping from one tool to another, like trying to find the best one. But I think it's something like, if you go to a like this party or to a dance club or whatever, and you try to hit on everyone there just to
Yeah, yeah.
see which one sticks, like, oh, she likes me, no, she doesn't like me, so I'm going to the other one. And you're not actually actively looking for a partner the way you should. You're just shooting aimlessly,
Yeah.
right? And I think that's a very, very deep issue with people nowadays. They don't have a focus. They are always trying whatever is new, like the new tool on the block. Let's all use it, and
Yeah,
then
but the thing is, we don't want to work for the tools. The tools are there to work for us. So that's
yes,
why, that's my point. That's what I, and what, that's why I make it clear to myself and Nikos, when you find the tool you like, you invest. So basically, all these tools I mentioned, I have a yearly subscription because I invested on them. I believe in them. and I want them to listen to what I have to say. So I will do my best to go to the next runway meetup. Maybe I think there's one in Dubai. I will do my best to help and respond to magnific posts on LinkedIn and Facebook and Instagram. You know, it's an investment. But if you always changing your mind on a weekly base, which tool to use and where to go, then you're losing the point of why you're gonna, how you're gonna use those tools and why you need them.
Yes, totally, totally. And Andre is saying that same as Red in their engine, stick around and go deeper. Yes,
Exactly. You know,
exactly. You
you
have
can.
to know what you're doing, right? Before you
Yes.
start complaining about a tool that it doesn't do what you want, make sure you know how to do what you want in the first place, right?
Actually,
Now,
sorry to interrupt. Just to give you an example, when I switched from video to Corona back in the days, I did everything I can to go all these events that Corona was doing around the world and talking about new versions. And I went to speak to Ondra and developers. I sent them messages. You know, I start looking on the roadmap. It's an investment. If you find the solution, just invest. It's helping everything: the developers, the company, the tools, but also yourself.
yes, it's pretty much like in an election when you vote for a specific politician that like you hope he will fulfill his promises.
Yeah.
That's what you're looking for, right? Otherwise, you
Yes.
wouldn't vote for them. I think it's the same thing. We have another one from Theodore here. Great TO. There are many advantages to AI. Do you also see any disadvantages or downsides? I would like to hear your side of the story, Bill.
Yeah, great question. Disadvantages or downsides? I mean, I think I would just reiterate what I said earlier, which is it's a tool that helps you do your job. So if the tool is not helping you, you shouldn't use it. Disadvantages, there may be some disadvantages to individuals that don't keep up. So I'll use the analogy of like board drafting. If you're like, hey, I really love drawing, by hand, a disadvantage is you may be out of a job. If you don't embrace a new technology or a new tool, those are some disadvantages I would say. Um, Beyond that, I don't know other than what we've already talked about. I'd be reiterating points that I've already made. So
How about you, Nikos?
I totally agree with Bill. I think that, let's say you have courage and you have fear, you need to find a way, reduce the fear, embrace new technology, implement those tools into your workflow, stick to them, and find a way to grow your business. Because now you
Yeah.
have the best partner next to you that can help you to build that business faster and better than before. And stay focused. Because if you're not focused, then seriously, you're going to lose it in a way, and you don't want that to happen. Because
Yeah.
then would be a disadvantage. It's not going to be like an advantage as a tool. So focus.
Yes, it's kind of weird if you think about it, like that we're discussing the disadvantages of a technology that aims to give you superpowers, right? It would be like,
It's what I
I
said. It's the
feel,
fear. The fear, sometimes
yeah,
it's more than 50, 60%, and doesn't allow you to see the big picture and get the benefits. So bring the courage up, the excitement, embrace the technology, reduce the fear, and then there's a big possibility that's going to happen next to you. Or maybe it's in front of you and you don't see it because of fear.
yeah, yeah, totally. Because I feel this discussion is pretty much like, okay, I would love to have like the power to fly, like Superman, and people are now like, oh, I wouldn't love to fly. Why not? Because then I would forget how to walk, so I don't want this superpower. Yeah, it's a discussion that doesn't make sense. But then you see people so passionate about it. Like we are concerned about the disadvantages of using AI, sure, but maybe we're not concerned with the tools. We should be concerned with what people do with the tools. Like, why do we use them? What are we doing with the tools? Like, I know this may sound a little stupid, but guns don't kill. People with guns kill. It's
right.
something like that.
I was gonna say the same comment. Like it's like any tool can be used for good or evil. I can use a hammer, to hammer in a nail, or I could use it to hammer in someone's forehead. It's like if you're using the tool in a different way, you can use it for good or evil. And the AI piece, I don't know if we want to go down this crazy rabbit hole, but like, there outside of the AEC industry, there is serious concerns about deep fakes and, creating images and videos that represent different political figures doing crazy things, and you in the future you may not know what is real versus not real. So those are some disadvantages probably outside of this discussion and outside of, our industry. But those are some real existential, concerns people do have around AI.
And I think we can give like much more concrete examples of that. For example, for deepfakes, we've seen deepfakes being used in movies. For example,
Yeah.
we have like Princess Leia in Rogue One. Of course, it's been like almost 10 years ago, I think. But still, it was like a deep fake of sorts. You have Luke Skywalker appearing on The Mandalorian, and we were all so happy about those. We were really excited to see those. But the same technology used to recreate classic actors in classic movies can be used by ill-fated people who want to, take advantage of the others. And but that's been true for pretty much everything in the history of humankind, I think, right?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, you
Yeah.
can use it's the same thing with the internet or anything else, pick your tool. People have used different tools for good as well as evil.
Yeah, totally. Now, bringing up 3D New York, which was actually a blast, and Nikos was one of the co-founders, right? Of
Yeah,
3D
it
New
was James
York.
Falconer, Kim Lee. We started it back in the days. The first one was in May 2019. I moved to New York back then, and before I even get the house, I spent more time setting up 3D New York because that's my passion with James and Kim, and that's exciting because it's still happening till today.
Yes, yeah, and it was very nice. I've never been to 3D New York before. It was my first time, and it was pretty cool. And we had some very interesting talks about AI there. Some of them were about tools as a whole, like okay, this tool can do this, can do that, and that's part of the game, I'd say. But also some conversations about how to leverage AI to be a better professional. And that leads me to another question. Do you guys think that the main issue that we are facing and maybe we are ignoring at this point as a whole is what people are doing with the new tools they have at their disposal? Like, for example, oh, we are going to lose our jobs. Why are we going to lose our jobs? Because, bosses are going to, let people go because they want AI to do their jobs instead. And isn't that a problem of the people using AI instead of the tool?
Yeah. If I could like share a story, when I was working in architecture, I was working on this project and it was crunch time is the deadline and we were trying to get all the drawings out and it was like 11:30, 12 o'clock, at night. And we were trying to get all these drawings and I told my architect, I said, hey, I'm going to go home. I'm going to get a shower and come back in the morning, and I'll help you hit print and we'll get this, project out the door. And I came in the next morning and he was sitting in his same chair with the same clothes. He had a bag of Doritos on his desk and
With the
this like
different
orange,
smell.
yeah, different smell. That was the one thing that changed. He had this bag of Doritos on his desk and he had this orange handprint right here on his shoulder, from eating the Doritos and scratching his
And
shoulder or whatever. Yeah. So, this is like the next morning. I was like, you didn't go home last night, did you? And he's like, no, I didn't. And so, like, the issue is not so much the tools, taking our jobs, but the tools helping us so we don't have to work these crazy hours, doing because you're still getting the same deliverable, but if you could do it faster, more efficient, and be able to get that quality of life back, I think that's the piece that we're all missing and craving. So
because
yeah,
that's a job nobody wants in the end of the
yeah.
day, right? Like, you don't want to spend your nights working in an office on Doritos and Red Bull.
No, definitely not. And I know we're talking a lot about visualization. That example, like, and not to talk too much about our tools, but like the Glyph Copilot, for example, helps automate construction drawings. there's the creative side people are concerned about, but then there's very mundane, repetitive tasks that we all do on every project, dimensioning, all the curtain walls and putting in the documentation for all the fireproofing and tagging all the doors and windows. And if we have tools that help, speed up that process and help us be more efficient, it helps us get our jobs done more efficiently, in my opinion, versus taking our jobs.
Yeah, totally agree.
Yeah.
Now, Nikos, this one's for you. Some
Yeah.
insights on free AI tools versus paid AI tools like Tide Diffusion for 3ds Max versus Midjourney versus others. Which would give a good quality and ease of use? And there's a compliment to that question right here. I mean, is it worth investing even if the free tools also get your work done? Will paid ones have more advantages, like Vico said, responding or giving feedback to the developers and so on?
I mean, that's pretty clear as well. So basically, for example, you have ChatGPT that's available for free as well, okay? Yeah, there is some limitations, but I know so many people using it and without upgrading to the plus version. So as long as it does what you need, you don't have to upgrade. If you want to get some extra features and stuff, then you have to upgrade. So I had a good friend of mine, he's a developer, and he's been using it for 2 years now. And it's like his assistant on coding. And he told me until recently, he was using the free version for 2 years in a row. And now the only reason to upgrade is to test this new Codex AI agent that they brought out, just to see what the buzz is around. But if he's not happy, he will go back to the free version because he was happy before. So, you know, if there is a budget limit, I hear you. Try what is available to you for free. And there is so many free versions out there that can help you to even build a business or start a business or grow your business. You know, like Claude, there is a free version of Claude. There is Grok. There is, I bought a new laptop and now I have access to a free Copilot in my laptop, and it's pretty amazing actually.
Yeah.
And I haven't tested before, but it was there for free. I was like, let me test it.
Yes,
So,
totally.
yeah, just,
Mm.
start with what is available to you. And then if you grow your business or if you getting value from these tools, then invest some money. And don't forget, the reason I'm going yearly is because you can have a discount. Sometimes you're getting all the credits in one go and you have it for a year so you don't miss anything. Like Magnific, for example, it's giving you 25,000 tokens in one go when you go yearly. And I bought it in Black Friday with 50% discount. Okay? So, think smart.
Yes,
Just
totally.
try to do what, if you find your tool, wait for Black Friday and get it a year subscription. Why not? If there is a limit on the budget, find a way to make it happen.
Yes, you're totally right. And now Tio wants Doritos,
Everybody wants to read that.
which is kind of weird to think about it because we were giving such a bad example of Doritos in your daily life.
Yes.
True.
Like now I
Yeah.
crave for some, long nights burning the midnight oil with Doritos and Red Bull.
Exactly.
Now Nico has another one here. There's a
Okay.
difference enter between lazy AI usage, like Midjourney couch with a bag of chips and single-handed image generation, and I'm sorry, and a professional workflow with AI embedded. That's a very interesting point, I think, because most people, I would risk saying that, are in the first category.
Yeah. There is
Yeah.
so many lazy people
They're
out there,
just
right?
using it. Okay, here's what I did using Midjourney. Here's what I did using whatever
Yeah.
tool we're talking about, and they
I
actually have
never, I
nothing.
mean, I never ever did that. I can't even figure out why somebody wants to do that. But what I'm doing, even with my clients, I make it pretty clear what you see is an AI reference. For example, the first time I sent a mood board to my clients with the materials that they wanted for the project as a mood board, he called me like, did you hire a photographer? Is this a renderer? Nikos, your skills are amazing. I was like, no, 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 no. Let's make it clear. What you see is an AI reference. But I spent days figure out the art behind the prompt to make it look as sexy and as exactly as I had it in my mind, because there is art in the prompt, okay? But it doesn't matter how art and value you bring into the prompt and time, make it clear this is an AI thing. It's important for all of us. So when the client contact me, I'm not going to lie to him. No, no. What you see is an AI reference, but I created, and I spent time actually to make it work the way I want it. So yes, it's sexy and beautiful, and we can have more on the project. But I wasn't lying to him. I never had so many mood boards to show you from AI that I present to my clients, but it needs to be clear. I also name it as AI or Midjourney references so they know what they see. Because then you complicate everything, the relation with the client and so on. So you need to be careful always, just be careful what you're doing.
Yes, and the bottom line is like, okay, the image is sexy and all. I am sexy and all because I did that.
Well, you look sexy to him when you're being honest and explain to him that, yeah, I had this idea and then I developed this idea into a prompt and the prompt became the image that you like. So I'm sexy, we are sexy, let's work together.
Yeah, totally. Now, Kali sent us a very interesting question. Have you ever had a client come to you with an AI generated image they created? This is interesting to show what they're looking for visually
This happens to my clients, actually, architects. Now they have this thing,
on
and
a daily
actually,
basis.
yeah, it's true actually. So when you're starting a project, they have clients getting into the meeting with AI images saying, "This is what I want." So that can be dangerous. I get it. I mean, why on earth you came to me if you don't trust me as a designer, as an architect to design your house? Let's keep it here in the office. This image that you created, take it on the desk. But let's go back to understanding what is your dream house and how you're going to use it. What space do you need? So basically, they're trying to avoid these references and go back to the original discussion, like it's supposed to be. Tell me what that you need. So when it happens to me, I will be clear to my client. Let's keep these references here, but let's go back to your problem, which is communication. Who is your client? Where do you want to sell? How are you going to sell it? Which location? What is the buyer? What do you want to communicate? How do you want to communicate? What's the feeling that you want? The vibe, the mood. And then they forget about the references because they know that, oh my God, I just brought him two random images and now we're getting serious. So let's get this out of the way.
Mhm.
And seriously, it happens to me and he just forget about it. He never discuss about it again.
Because you showed what the job is actually about, right?
Yeah.
The job is not to create an image. The job is to create something that, and I go back to my presentation, that captivates, that communicates, and that can convert. Yeah, that's what the job is. If the
And you need the
client
human
was able to
interaction
do, yeah, and
in the
if
discussion.
the client was able to do that, like, okay, I can do that by my own, they wouldn't need you in the first place.
The-
So why are they
yeah.
even here?
Yes. So there's always a way to change things over in a meeting, but go back and remind them why they hired you in the first place.
Yes, yes, totally. And you know what? That leads me to like realization maybe that, for example, you have Viras as a tool that is great, is awesome for ideation. I've done the translation of some of the videos for Chaos, and it's very nice to see what you can do. And I can see definitely myself as an architect using it and being excited about it. On the other hand, it's one of those tools that if they fall in the wrong hands, such as your clients, they can get messy, right? Because clients will be like, okay, I can do that. I just did this on SketchUp or Blender or whatever, and I created this, and this is what I want now. Nikos, do this, right? I think that's the main issue. And then again, we're talking about people using AI the wrong way. We're not
Yeah.
talking about AI being a bad technology at all.
Yeah. Well, I think your comment was right earlier, Ricardo, where they're not hiring you to produce an image. So a client may draw something up in SketchUp and do a rendering with Veris or something, but they're hiring you because you have an expertise in knowing what egress is and what load occupancies have to be, and there's all kinds of skills and expertise that comes with being an architect or being an engineer that helps you to produce a deliverable to a client. So more than just creating an image.
Totally. We have another question here by Kali. You spoke to a lot of people about AI this year, Nikos.
Yeah.
Did you notice a significant shift in their perspective before and after the workshops or training sessions?
In every class. Seriously. Like, I mean, they were very skeptical. You know, it was me trying to convince them that it's going to help the team. You're going to be indeed be more productive and creative. Yes, they said, yes, let's do the course. But if you ask me, it was like 50-50. Yes and no, yes and no. But then straight after the course was like, that was an eye opening. And the great thing was that they start looking in which area of the project, because you know an architect takes 6 months to build something and design something, you know, it's a big process. And they start looking in which element of the process to bring which tool and how to use it. And that was super creative and fun. And we talked about layoffs before and maybe how we might lose our jobs. In these offices, I'm always going back months later as a free review just to see how they're using the tools and if things goes the right way. Do you know what's happening? Everybody was telling me that we're hiring more people. Why do you think they're hiring more people? Because now they find a way to work smarter and faster. They're more productive and they need more people. And the people they have already, some of them now they have more responsibilities in the office because somebody was in charge of Midjourney for early concept. Somebody was in charge of Runway to create the videos, you know. So basically the team had more responsibilities and some of the time they spent of doing things they don't care, they don't like, it was out of the game. So suddenly you have people hiring at the same company, people getting excited to go back to work and do things they never done before. And that was my experience so far. That after every course, everybody's like, oh my God, that was eye-opening. Thank you for the experience. The team is happy, we're happy, and a couple of months later, actually, we're hiring. That's true stories.
And that's something I think gets overlooked a lot, like the new professions, the new jobs that this technology can create, because you can have a specialist in pre-design, for example. Again, I'm taking this to viewers once again. Like you can have someone specializing in using Virus to create iterations of a design. Like in half an hour, they get like 10 iterations. The person gets, like, oh, let's try different lighting conditions. Let's try different, vegetation or whatever, and then they deliver it back to the architect while the architect was doing other stuff like all the talking to clients. And so I actually can see those new professions blooming in modern offices, modern studios. I think it's a very, very interesting point. And we have Kalina's on fire now. Bill, do you
And it's
have a
always on fire.
she's always
Thank
on
you,
fire.
Thank you, Kalina. I'm missing you.
Yeah, the big kappa.
The
Do you
big
have a
kappa.
sense of whether clients typically use Veras more for ideation or for final outputs? Any impressions or trends you've noticed?
Yeah, we see it both. I don't know if they're using it more for one or the other. Maybe I would say more on the ideation side is probably where I would see more of the bent, but they are using it in both phases there. So
Which is interesting too,
yeah,
because it means people are seeing the usefulness of the tool. Like
yeah,
I can
for
do
sure.
both, and then I will do both because it gives me an advantage, right? In the end, and
Yep.
do you guys think that there's one comparison I always make regarding AI, because people usually they say a lot about the quality and stuff, but they also talk a lot about how you can do things fast, right? We talked about it here, uh, but it's kind of the same when you have a software like Vantage for or Enscape, which are softwares that allow you to get like real time feedback and real time iterations and stuff like that. Uh, do you guys think that in the end, in the long run, because everything is so new and people are talking about it and it's all the rave now, right now, like just like NFTs were like 2 years ago, like and the metaverse and things come and go. Do you think that AI tools for architectural visualization specifically will become something like real-time renderers at some sort? Like they're very fast, they are capable of delivering great quality, but they don't literally like substitute other tools for rendering. For example, we still use V-Ray. We did the survey at CG Architect, and most people still use Corona and V-Ray, mostly
Yes.
V-Ray and then Corona for ArchViz because they need photoreal outputs. they're not using other tools because those two tools actually deliver what they need. And do you think that we we will end up in a world where you have AI tools working alongside with other renderings and like with multiple deliveries instead of like, okay, the final product is done by AI?
Yeah, I think so, definitely. And if you look at kind of, I mean, two things. We're in the early stages of the implementation of these tools. We're like in 2003 or 4 of the internet, with the AI tools, and they're the only difference is I'd say is they're progressing much faster, and so we are going to see real-time AI rendering tools. And I would also say that the tools, I think people are becoming, the virality of AI when it came out, people were very impressed with it. I don't know your guys' experience, but now people are like, okay, like it's an AI tool, like who cares? Like, like we've kind of gotten used to it over the last few years. So the virality of it has diminished quite a bit. And now the trend has become, is it useful to me in my day to day workflow? Not if it's AI or not. It doesn't matter. I don't care uh, whether or not it's an AI tool, as long as it helps me do my job and helps me meet my needs. But I do think that we'll see these real-time AI visualization tools. It's just a matter of time as the technology continues to evolve.
Now we have time for a last question. We have Tio asking here, what support do you wish for to get from an AI in future, like unwrapping, rigging, surroundings, creation, etc.? I mean, the boring labor that we all have to go through.
I think AI is going to come to our software as well. So what I'm looking forward is for material creation with AI. I think Chaos is working on that. Me and Theodore, last year, we've seen a preview. I would love to see a way to create a material based on a prompt, seamless. I can upscale it to 4K, whatever I need, and give me some extra maps like roughness map or displacement and so on. This can be a game changer for me to create anything I have in mind or based on a reference from the client, because that's exactly what you want. If I can generate it and make it seamless and easy to use, and then I can go back and use my workflow, which is Vira and Corona, that would be a game changer for me. I think it's coming, but I cannot wait to see it happening. Because yes, we don't want these unwrapping tools and this all boring stuff. AI can help us a lot on this matter. Don't forget that Vantage now is so much faster, even 80% or something, by integrating this new NVIDIA technology, right? The LLS4, I think it's called. So, by bringing more AI tools inside our own pipeline, it's going to make the industry better, definitely. I'm not looking to change my Corona or VDA workflow. What I'm looking for is AI to be integrated, and I can have my upscale enhancement in-house. I can do my material creation in-house, and all the things inside my software. I'm going to be so much happier when this happens. And I think we're getting close, actually.
Yes. Nico just said here, AI tools are not there yet. Control is problematic for AI to end-to-end for AI end-to-end capabilities. It's great for workflow augmentation for now. AI in this is not even born yet. It's still in pregnancy phase. And I think that's true for everything AI these days, right? Like it's such a new technology, such a new thing
Yeah.
as a whole that we don't know what to do with it. And people working with it are still, and Bill can talk about that, are still figuring out how they should do things and what kind of things should be done with AI.
Definitely. Yeah, I think it's to their point is Nico's point is that the AI tools, you kind of have this baby, adolescent, adult, right? And he says we're not even at the baby born phase yet. I like to say we're there, but maybe I might steal his and say maybe it's not even conceived yet. But the thing, if you think about it, like Midjourney, 5 versus 7 was like immensely better, and it was only like a year, like, so I think even though we might be critical of some of the AI components to date, at least speaking for myself, I don't want to be so naive to think about where it's going to be in 6 months or in 1 year from now. It's going to be, light years faster. And to your earlier question of like, where do I want to start seeing the AI tools go? We talked a lot about visualization, but I think there's so many other components to a project whether it's laying out like space planning, or if you're starting to do lighting analysis or structural analysis, or then you're starting to do construction documents. I'd love to continue to see AI start to permeate other parts of the project. And I don't remember if I said this or not, but it's kind of like where the AI kind of went in this counterintuitive order of like creative fields first, cognitive labor next, physical labor last. We're in this creative field section right now. I think we're going to start seeing more and more growth in the cognitive labor, the math, the engineering, and then eventually physical labor when robots are laying out brick in the fields and all of that, those kinds of things. So we are in the very beginning stages, but it is a very disruptive technology, and there's still a lot of areas part of the project for it to start to permeate.
Yeah, totally. And before we wrap up, I just remembered something that now it sounds a little naive, but we all remember that movie with Will Smith, I Robot,
Oh yeah.
Oh
right?
yes, always.
And it's fun to think that in fiction, at least, humanity was able to create very advanced robots that could walk and jump and do whatever they wanted before they came up with artificial intelligence, and we are doing the direct opposite of that
100%.
because
Yeah.
robots cannot like walk properly yet. We're just having a hard time figuring out how to do that, but they can already think. It's weird to see how we think the future is going to happen and how it really turns out in the end.
100%.
Yeah.
It's something that we should keep in mind for all things. Guys, I wanted to, as much as I'm enjoying this conversation, we've been here for over an hour, and we all have. I know you guys have other errands to run uh, right now, and I'd like to thank you so much for being here, and to already in advance invite you guys to come back at a later episode because I I know this conversation could go on for hours and hours, and I'm pretty sure that our audience, people are watching us right now live, and also those who are watching the podcast in the recording are enjoying this and wanted to see more of it. So thank you so much from the bottom of my heart.
Thanks for inviting us. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Ricardo, for inviting us, and congratulations on the podcast. I think it's going to be great. To keep them coming, we need them. Also, big thank you to your community for these amazing questions, guys. That was a real pleasure to be here with you. And Bill, nice meeting you, even online, hopefully in person soon.
Yeah.
Agreed. Yeah, I enjoyed the conversations. Great questions and comments in the chat, and nice to meet you as
Yeah.
well, Nikos. Thanks for the invite, Ricardo.
Thank you, guys, and thank you for watching us, for bearing with us for the past 1 hour and 12, 13 minutes right now. And I guess we will see you on the next episode of the CG Architect podcast. And don't forget that in our YouTube channel you can find all the previous episodes of the podcast with interviews and stuff. And if you like this format with live questions and stuff, drop us a comment. Let us know because it's been a lot of fun to do it, and I probably will do it again anyway. So
Oh,
if you like
yes.
it, let us know and like, subscribe, hit the notification bell so you won't miss the next episode. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye bye.
Bye, everyone.
Bill,